According to reports this morning, Sheikh Jassim has won the race to buy Manchester United Football Club, and the takeover for £6 billion will go through. That is the report from Neil Custis this morning. And now I understand from the outset, straight away, people will be skeptical about this. But he claims Sheikh Jassim is set to complete his full £6 billion takeover by mid-October. Other parts of the article suggesting you can read here, it's announced that Sheikh Jassim will complete a takeover, could come as early as next month, with the completion of that being nearer the mid-October mark. Sheikh Jassim's team are now completing their due diligence on the club before they end the 18-year reign of the Glazers. Now, this was met with an element of trepidation. This was met with an element of, could it be true? Is Custis lying to us? Is he as credible as he needs to be? David Ornstein, speaking on Sky Sports this morning, says there is a consensus that the takeover, will get a resolution after the transfer window. He also goes on to state in the same interview, the bigger unanswered questions is whether the Glazers were really trying to sell Manchester United when push came to shove. So far, we haven't had an answer, but perhaps we are getting towards one now. Then he goes on to say that the consensus is that the takeover resolution will happen after the transfer window. Custis, who is close to Manchester United, it has to be said, does have connections, travels with the club, has inside information that the club believes the Sheikh and Qatar have won the race for Manchester United. I want your reaction to this. I want your thoughts on this. Leave me your comments below right now. Smash like buttons for the channel. I'm scared to believe it. Scared to believe it. I want to believe it so desperately. I want it to be true. I want the Glazers gone. They are the biggest problem at this club. They're the biggest internal factor at this club anyway. Yes, you could look at Man United right now on the pitch and say, is the talent ID right? It's a fair question. Have we built a team that is physically strong enough to play in the Premier League, let alone technically good enough to play in the EPL? You can challenge Ten Hag's and Ollie's and Jose's and LVG's tactics. You can do all of this. You can look at a Rashford or a Bruno or a Fellaini or a Pogba, Martial, and say, are they the problem? Are they the issue? And as I've stated many times before, the Glazers are not accountable for every poor day we have had as Man United fans in the last 10 years. But they are ultimately accountable. If people out there think managers are accountable for failure, the owners damn sure are, because they run the club. The buck stops with them, not just the manager, who in this day and age don't have half as much control as a Sir Alex or a Brian Clough or a Matt Busby or a Shankly or a Wenger. These guys run the clubs. They were actually managers of the clubs. That doesn't happen anymore. You're the head coach and you have a say, and maybe the final say on a transfer, but what you don't have is the running of the football club. And Man United's owners, since David Gill and Sir Alex Ferguson left and relinquished their power over running the club, have failed every single step of the way. We haven't challenged for a Premier League, and we haven't looked like winning the Champions League for a decade. So everything else aside, they have failed. But this is the reason why I don't want to get my hopes up. I truly believe with more competent owners, debt being written off, and a drive to become the most successful football team in the world on the pitch, winning trophies will change the attitude and mindset within the club. You'll probably find the players right now think they have the most elite mentality. They don't. If you look at Newcastle as a case in point, they're playing really nice football. They've gone out and bought good technical players, but they've added physicality to their team. They brought in a manager in Eddie Howe who's of a decent level. But I'm telling you, one of the biggest catalysts to their turnaround has been the change of attitude from their owners. I don't know how many of you at this point in your lives have a serious job, have a career right now, especially you young'uns. You might be working in a retail store. You might be at college or uni, figuring out what you want to do. So you may not have been there yet, and I understand it. Well, I've been there, and I know the older generation will have been, and you've experienced this. You might be just working in a normal job. Suddenly you get a new owner that takes over the business, or you get a new managing director that takes over the department you work in, and they come in with a new lease. They come in with a vigor. They come in with ideas. They come in with a personal motivation to be successful, and they want to take you on that journey. And suddenly the energy and the attitude changes to a point where everybody is overperforming. Everybody is achieving more than they had done before. And you realize, I thought I was working hard. I thought we were thriving under this previous regime, but we were not. We were not. And I had this experience when I worked at Barclays Bank as an area, because it was quite a poor area of London. It came to our service scores. What would we score out of 10 for our level of service? And there was a belief that was pushed by the then area director that in an area like East London, with its crime and poverty, I remember those words coming out of his mouth, you're never going to score more than 6 out of 10 in service. It's never going to happen, no matter what we do. And that was pumped into your brain from the moment you started working there. So guess what we scored on service scores? Between 5.5 and 6 out of 10 every month, every branch, and everybody celebrated it. You actually got told, well done for maintaining the 6 out of 10. Then we had somebody new join. And she came in and tore the script up. Said, no, we're aiming for 10 out of 10. I believe we can get there. Her persuasiveness, her energy, her man-to-man management, woman-to-woman management as well. Football expression coming out there. People skills, her motivational ability, her knowledge or experience. But generally speaking, just her demeanor to want to be successful. Within 12 months, some of the highest service scores in the country were coming out of East London. And it was to do with attitude far more than it was anything to do with skill or people that we had hired. It was the attitude had changed through her leadership at the top. And that is why the takeover of Manchester United is key, because these players will see a change in mentality from the middle out and will change their lives. Some will fall by the wayside. They won't be up for it. But they will. I guarantee you'll interview these players in a year and they'll say, yeah, do you know what? We were living under a cloud. It's so important. And as I state, look, I hope that Custis' story is true. I hope that it's the Qataris that are taking over Man United. They are my preferred owners of the club. Debt written off. They are looking to rejuvenate the stadium, rejuvenate the training facilities. Those are big steps in terms of what you telling the players what you want to achieve and bringing it to fruition in terms of your actions, tangible actions around the club. They want to ensure the squad is as best as it possibly can be. And we just look at this summer. We missed out on Kim Min-jae. We haven't brought in a new centre-back yet. We bought in Mount before we bought in the skill plus power and speed that we need in the middle in the likes of Amrabat and Gravenberch. We've landed Rasmus Højlund, who could be a very good striker for the future, but we wanted Harry Kane. And due to the mismanagement of the club, there wasn't the funds to do everything that we wanted to do. And we're 7 days before the window shuts, and we still haven't concluded our business again because there isn't the money to do it without balancing the books, because the club is consistently on the edge of failing FFP, which at the very least would lose us even more money. We spend, but we've wasted. We think we're motivated, but I can guarantee you we're not. And if you stuck some of our players in Man City for a few weeks, Brighton for a few weeks, Newcastle now for a few weeks, Arsenal, if they were to speak objectively, they would notice a difference in demeanor around the football clubs, 110%. I know this through my own personal experience, both in sport and in business. I'm desperate for this news to be true. Desperate for this news to be true. I'm not going all in right now. As I said at the top, I hope this news is true. I want your opinions. Rivals, do you think Man United will change if this takeover goes through? And listen to everything I've said before you answer that. We'll see if you got to this stage of the video. I know there'll be comments that will say, but you already spend money. Spending money isn't the problem. Wasting money is. Having a project where making money out of the club is the key motivator and not winning is a problem. The lack of investment into infrastructure is a huge issue. And actually creating an internal system with the best in class working in every available position still doesn't exist at this club. Managers will make mistakes, and they're often the fall guy at Manchester United. Sack the manager, bring in a better coach, and we will succeed, has been the rhetoric for 10 years. And you're even seeing now in the early stages of this new season, with Ten Hag's team struggling, there are people questioning who again? The manager. If we had a better manager, a better coach, we'd be better. We've all heard this song before. Nothing ever changes. Give me your thoughts and feelings below. The big breaking news is reportedly by mid-October, Sheikh Jassim will become the new owner of Manchester United Football Club. Hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.